Hello, I'm Sharon Armstrong, Vice President of the Alberta Teachers Association. Recently, the ATA invited candidates for leadership of the Alberta Liberal Party to our summer conference to meet teachers and discuss their vision and ideas for public education. The first question we asked candidates was related to transformation in education. It read, Alberta is world-renowned as a top-performing jurisdiction in regards to public education. What do you think of the system today? And what are your priorities for change that would help ensure continued excellence? Our next question related to education funding. A number of grants for school boards were reduced or eliminated in the 2011 budget. As a result, hundreds of teachers across the province were laid off in June. Would a Liberal government under your leadership reverse grant cuts to school boards? And what principles will be used in the future to ensure stable, predictable, and sustained funding for schools? Finally, we asked candidates to discuss the future of the teaching profession. Our question said, the Alberta Teachers Association has been the professional voice of teachers for over 94 years. The ATA is a unified organization with both union and professional functions representing all teachers in Alberta's public, separate, and francophone schools. Do you support the continuation of the association in its current form? And what would your government do to further support the teaching profession in Alberta? Here now are the responses to our questions from leadership candidate Bill Harvey. Thank you for viewing.
Thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to tell you who I am and what I think about the education system in our province and where I think it's going and what I think we can do to help to get there. I am Bill Harvey. I'm running for the leadership of the Alberta Liberal Party. I live in Calgary. I've been a member of the Liberal Party since Lawrence Decor. I helped him in his leadership campaign. And being around Lawrence taught me that you should be spending more time listening to what people are telling you than preaching your ideas on how to solve problems. So that's one of the differences I bring to the leadership of the party. The other part that I'm bringing to the party is that Albertans are listening to us. We have ideas out there on our website that normally you wouldn't see from a Liberal candidate, but what we're doing is we want to start these debates, and the way you start the debates is by having some controversy within the policies you're performing. And that's good. And we tell every meeting that we go to, these are what we want to talk about. We might not end there with these policies, but it's a start. I've been married to my wife for 30 years, actually, and I have 2 children. I have a beautiful grandson that is 17 months old at this point in time, and I volunteer with my church, with my faith, and I'm a branch manager for a national financial services company. I have lived in Alberta since 1978. My wife was born here. So I have a very strong commitment to this province, and obviously the children, having a grandson that we cherish every moment we have with them. So that's pretty well who I am. As far as education today, and what I see happening is we have problems in education. We cannot look at education and not think that there are problems here that there really aren't. And what we feel is that part of the problem comes down to the demands that's put on the teachers today. And what we mean by that is not only do you have to teach, but you also got to deal from the side of students showing up hungry, coming from dysfunctional homes, and also bullying and drugs. I mean, it's in the system in that. And you are expected to do it all on top of being able to teach our youngsters. And that's a big burden we're putting on, and you're not being properly funded. So I think we got to look at things like that. Right now in this province, we have a public system, we also have a private system. And one of the policies that we're talking, or one of the solutions we talk about in this is we think that we have to discuss the whole thing. We can't just talk about the public system without talking about the private system, because it's out there. It's the elephant in the room, and we got to talk about it. I'm not sure how we put both of them together, or if we bring them both together, or how we do that. But what we do know is that we're going to talk to a lot of teachers, we're going to talk to a lot of superintendents, we're going to talk to a lot of parents. At the end of the day, I want what's best for our children. And that depends on how well we fund schools, how well we help our teachers, how much money we have to give back to special ed. These are areas that we have to talk and be discussing about. So hopefully that sort of gives you a general opinion of who I am, where I think education is today, and some of the issues I think we have to talk about in the future as we move forward. Under the current system right now, every time that we have an upturn in oil, funding increases. Every time there's a downturn in oil, we're losing teachers. We cannot afford to lose teachers. I was at a council meeting in Medicine Hat a couple of weeks ago. One of the points that was made very clear to us, and this is why we hold these discussions with people that are involved in the profession, but it was made very clear, it takes 3 to 5 years for a new teacher that comes into the system to learn how to teach and deal with classrooms. And I think when we lose teachers, we're usually losing the new teachers, not the ones that have been in the system for a long time. That's a problem for me. It's a big problem for me. I'm building schools, not me personally, but the province is building schools in this province, in Calgary and the surrounding areas, and hopefully we're going to be able to build some more schools in other parts of the province, but we don't have the teachers to fill them. That's not planning. That's not proper funding. That's not how you provide education for Albertans. And I'm not just talking about Albertans and little Johnny. I'm talking people that actually go back. We've got to make sure it's properly funded. How do we fund it? There are candidates out there that are saying they're going to take it from general revenue. I'm not sure if that's the way to go. There's candidates out there that think we have to have another level of taxation. I'm not sure if that's the way to go. I know Albertans are telling me that's not the way to go. They believe they're paying enough in taxes. The first thing you have to do is you have to treat education for what it really is. This is the golden bullet. This one will secure our future presently and also moving into the future. I truly believe that. I truly, truly believe that. I believe education can be the second industry in this province to help us ride out the oil and gas turmoil. How do you fund it? You fund it properly. You give it back so that the schools can run for everything that we're doing. What we believe we have to do is sit down with all the stakeholders, parents, teachers, school boards, and let's look at it. Let's tear these budgets apart, see where we can improve the resources that we have, and let's add resources where we need to do it. At the end result, I want to see students that go all the way through our system, all the way to university. I was showing some statistics a little while ago. For someone that goes to school but does not finish and quit school in high school, they take 42% more out of our system than what they put into it. Somebody that graduates university, where we've had the good teachers all the way through, and graduates university, puts 46% back into my system. I like those numbers. I can live with those numbers. To me, that's a sound investment. 46% return is a sound investment. One of the things we have to do is we have to have smaller class sizes. And what we're looking at, K to 6, I want to have 20 students maximum. Hard rule, fast, 20 students, that's it. From 7 to 9, we're going to have 25 students. And from 10 to 12, it's going to be 30. But we're hoping by the time we get to the higher grades that the students have learned how to behave in class, have learned how to be educated, and now we can spend more time on working on that. These are some of the issues we can do, but it comes to funding, and you will have the funding for us, because I consider this a building block for not only my future, but the future of my children and for my grandson. And to me, there's nothing more special than that in taking care of all of our children and the future of this province. Regarding the ATA, I belong to many professional organizations throughout my business career and that. And we always look to these organizations to help us on an education point of view and also to give us some structure on how to develop and run our businesses and that. So that's an important part of it. I've never ever been part of a union from a bargaining point of view. I've been a member of a union in my past career before I went into business for myself, and that's always been handled by a very special part of the union, I always felt. I don't know if there's a conflict here. I'm open for suggestions on this point. And the reason I'm saying that is that to be a union negotiator, I think takes a separate skill, and a very difficult time is placed on them in that. So I'm not sure if the union, the ATA would have the expertise to do that. Now, I'm not the one to talk about or criticize how it's gone in the past or work from that point of view. I'm just saying, you know what? I think it's a decision the ATA has to make, whether they can handle it themselves. I do believe, though, that government has to trust the people and individuals that we're putting our faith in to educate our children. So from that point of view, I believe it is up to the ATA to work with the government on labor peace, to work with the government on setting criteria on the type of education that our teachers are going to be required to have in order to perform best for our children. Do I believe that principals should be part of the ATA? I'm a little leaning against that issue, and I'll tell you why. I consider principals more on the management side of it, and obviously they probably came up through being a teacher first off, but that's management. And I believe management has to carry out directions and decisions by the government. There cannot be any loyalty other than to the government. Now the ATA obviously is going to have the loyalty of the teachers, and I think that's true, and it's important, and I want that. I really want that. I want it as Premier to speak to one body only when I'm speaking for teachers, or speaking to the teachers, or with the teachers. And I want their input. But I think we have to keep the principals, and I think they have to be separate from it, purely for that point alone. Because the principals have to ensure that government policy is being delivered, I feel, along with trustees and that too. But no, I think we need a strong ATA. I really do, because I think you have to stand up and fight for your rights. I think you have to stand up and fight for teachers. And the reason I say that, I don't believe that we would have the layoffs today in the teaching profession if the ATA stood up and had the strength and the resources and the bylaws and the respect of this government to stand up and fight for your members. That's your job, and I appreciate that, and I want you to do that. I also want you to be able to come to me and say, Bill, you're out of line. We need to look at this area. We need to correct things in this area. I expect that. I want that. I've said all the way along that we need to have an open dialogue with all of the stakeholders in education, or we're never going to solve the problems that we're facing here today. One of the things I would like to say is that today, 64% of the budget in Alberta is spent on education and healthcare. We have 10 years to fix this problem, or we're going to hit a wall. We're going to run out of resources. You only have to look no further than south of the border. The most powerful, wealthiest nation in the world can't afford to pay for healthcare and education. We have to work together on these issues and do it for them. In conclusion, I'll say this. I'm running for the leadership of the Alberta Liberal Party. The reason I'm running for the leadership of the Alberta Liberal Party, I believe I'm the best leader of the party. I'm reaching out to all Albertans, in factories, in coffee shops, wherever we have two people together. If I'm there, we're talking about this. Albertans are coming back to us and are saying, Bill, you are the best hope for the Liberal Party. The Globe and Mail came out a week ago Monday and said, Bill, you're the best hope for the Liberal Party. I believe it's because I'm reaching out to all Albertans. That's what a leader does. He reaches out, he gets information, he puts it together, talks to the stakeholders, and we come up with a plan to solve the issues. I don't care who gets credit for solving the problem. I just want to be there to help push it along down the line. So hopefully, when you take a look, you'll be able to support us, and we'll work together, because at the bottom and the end of the day, I'm investing my money into you to make sure that you provide children that are going to look after me later in my life. Thank you.